for less this summer from cookware to curtains, comforters, and more. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The #1 choice for label printing is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 32 in Montego Bay, and 29 in Manchester.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I am George Davis.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Appeal Court opposed Supreme Court ruling stripping the FSC of control of Stocks and Securities Limited.
Prime Minister loses his appeal of a Supreme Court ruling in his legal challenge with the Integrity Commission.
Lawyer for the Integrity Commission hails the Appeal Court's ruling against the Prime Minister.
Dr. Andrew Wheatley's lawyers to press ahead with judicial review against the Integrity Commission following Supreme Court ruling today.
What it means is that we are justified in having brought it. We are going to be filing a fixed date claim form for judicial review.
NARA to oversee the $250 million Hermitage Dam expansion project.
In news from the rest of the world, voter registration begins in Haiti ahead of December 13 general election.
The United States to make visa bond requirements permanent, affecting mostly African countries.
In sports, Jamaica wins 4th straight gold medal in women's 400-meter hurdles at Commonwealth Games.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Court of Appeal has dismissed Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's appeal against the Supreme Court ruling in his ongoing legal battle with the Integrity Commission.
Also in the cover story, the Supreme Court has granted an injunction barring the Integrity Commission from charging South Central St. Catherine MP Dr. Andrew Wheatley until the hearing and determination of an application for judicial review. One of his attorneys, Abe Dabdoob, will join us.
In the nation's business at 6:25, Emancipation Day falls on a Saturday this year and is being observed on that same day in keeping with the Holidays Public General Act. Should this be changed? We'll hear from Public Affairs commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang and poet Casey Garvey.
Taking you around the world at 6:45, UNAIDS is raising concern about the new HIV infections and AIDS-related deaths in the Caribbean and Latin America as funding continues to decline.
And at 7, it's the comments section. This evening, they're asking, should we have gotten the Monday off for Emancipation Day? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM. All these and more as we take you home today, Friday, July 31, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The Court of Appeal has upheld the Supreme Court ruling that stripped the Financial Services Commission FSC of control of the collapsed investment house Stocks and Securities Limited SSL. However, it has thrown out the order that the regulator pay the company's legal bill. That's according to a judgment handed down on Friday morning. It follows the FSC's takeover of the now bankrupt entity in 2023 due to a multi-billion-dollar fraud. Chevon Campbell tells us more.
A 3-judge panel of the appeal court has found that Financial Services Commission, FSC, never put forward the evidence it needed to justify taking over Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, in January of 2023. The FSC's notice of intention to appoint a temporary manager rested on a single ground that it had reason to believe SSL had given a false or misleading statement about its affairs. But Justice of Appeal David Lang, who wrote the leading judgment, says the Commission called only one witness on that point, its Senior Director for Securities, and her evidence did not connect the takeover to SSL's declaration of solvency at all. She told the court she had not seen that declaration until after the decision was made. Justice Lang says the FSC was bound by the reason it cited in its own notice and that there was not enough cogent evidence before the trial to support it. He describes that failure as fatal to the appeal. Because of it, the court has declined to settle the bigger question the case raised, whether a temporary manager appointed by the regulator outranks a trustee already appointed by a company under the Companies Act. Justice Lang says answering it would amount to deciding an academic point of law, and the court should not do that. President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, and Justice of Appeal Vivian Harris both agreed. The practical effect is that the order made by Justice David Batts in May of 2024 stands. Cadian Campbell's appointment as trustee was and remains valid. The temporary management is discharged, and SSL and Campbell may pursue damages under the undertaking the FSC gave when it obtained an injunction against them. The regulator did win on one ground. Justice Batts had ordered it to pay the costs of the claim relying on a version of Section 2022 of the Financial Services Commission Act that has since been amended. The current section shields the Commission from liability unless there is proof of willful or reckless misconduct. The appeal court found no such proof. Justice Lang says the evidential failure is not the same as the FSC acting outside its regulatory purpose, and that public anxiety over the alleged fraud and SSL's sudden change of course could reasonably have caused the Commission concern. That cost orders is set aside. There will now be no order as to the costs of the claim, though the carve-out does not cover any future proceedings to enforce the undertaking as to damages. The FSC has, however, been ordered to pay 80% of the respondents' costs of the appeal. The dispute goes back to January of 2023, when SSL reported an alleged fraud by a former employee. SSL shareholders voted on January 16 to wind the company up voluntarily and appointed Campbell as trustee. The FSC moved the following day, appointing Kenneth Tomlinson as temporary manager, and went to a court a week later. SSL is now bankrupt and is being wound up under the supervision of the court. Former client relationship manager Jean-Ann Panton remains the only person charged in the matter. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Siobhan. The Court of Appeal has dismissed an appeal by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness against a Supreme Court ruling in his legal battle with the Integrity Commission. In a judgment handed down on Friday, the three-member panel affirmed all the orders made by Supreme Court Justice Althea Jarrett on July 31, 2025. The court also lifted the stay of proceedings imposed while the appeal was pending, clearing the way for the substantive judicial review to resume in the Supreme Court. Mahiri Stewart tells us more.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, along with Imperium Holdings Limited, Positive Media Solutions Limited, and Positive Jamaica Foundation Limited, had asked the court to strike out several paragraphs of a second affidavit sworn by Craig Beresford, then the Commission's Director of Information and Complaints. The appellants argued the paragraphs were scandalous, frivolous, and vexatious, and that their prejudicial effect outweighed their probative value. Writing for the court, Justice Frank Williams finds the paragraphs were a direct response to the Prime Minister's own evidence. Dr. Holness had said in his affidavit that over the period 1997 to 2020, he submitted his statutory declarations as required and that they were certified and published. The court holds that Beresford was entitled to reply that there had in fact been difficulties with some of those earlier filings. Difficulties, the judgment notes, were ultimately resolved. The appellants also failed in their bid to force the Commission to hand over unredacted minutes of meetings of the Commission and three of its committees. The court found the redactions justifiable. It accepts sworn evidence from the Commission's in-house counsel that the blacked-out material relates to other investigations and to third parties unconnected to the Prime Minister, and that Section 56 of the Integrity Commission Act makes disclosure of such material an offense. The court also refused to order disclosure of a resignation letter from Stephanie Fiddler-Blake, who held the post of Manager of Declarations and Financial Investigations at the Commission. Nationwide News reported in 2025 that Fiddler-Blake, who played a key role in the probe into the Prime Minister's statutory declarations, resigned abruptly. Sources at the Commission told our newsroom she left over a fundamental difference of opinion with key colleagues about aspects of her work. The appellants argued the reason for her resignation went to whether the Commission's findings were unreasonable. But the judgment finds they gave the court no evidence of how they came to know of the resignation or why they believed it was connected to the issues in the claim. The appeal ran to 9 grounds. All 9 failed. Costs are awarded to the Integrity Commission, Beresford, and Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, to be agreed upon or taxed. The underlying judicial review filed in 2024 challenges the fairness and lawfulness of the Commission's investigation into Dr. Holness's statutory declarations for the years 2019 to 2022. The Prime Minister has consistently denied any wrongdoing. With the stay now lifted, that claim returns to the Supreme Court, including the Prime Minister's challenge to the constitutionality of the illicit enrichment provision of the Corruption Prevention Act. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's legal team says Friday's Court of Appeal ruling does not adversely affect his case against the Integrity Commission. In a statement following the decision, the team says the appeal was primarily about its request for the Commission to hand over unredacted copies of documents it had disclosed in the claim. The team says the appeal also concerned its bid to strike out portions of Craig Beresford's affidavit dealing with declarations filed by Dr. Holness before 2020. Declarations, it says, had already been certified and were not the subject of the claim. It says the ruling does not hurt the case, as it had already secured a disclosure of a wide cache of documents from the respondents. The team maintains it was also entitled to the unredacted documents, but it says it will now look ahead to the resolution of the substantive legal issues that remain before the court and are yet to be determined.
In the meantime, one of the IC's lawyers, King's Counsel Kevin Powell, says the Court of Appeal's ruling is justified.
Court of Appeal effectively ruled in the respondent's favor on all the issues. So they found that the judge in the court below did not exercise her discretion in any incorrect way, whether based on the facts or the law, in coming to decisions that she came to. I think our client looks forward to defending the matter on the substantive merit. So the Court of Appeal decision, I think, justifies the positions they had taken on these issues that had been raised by the appellants.
Kevin Powell, King's Counsel.
Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley has won the first round of his legal battle with the Integrity Commission. The Supreme Court on Friday granted him an injunction barring the Integrity Commission from charging him until the hearing and determination of an application for judicial review. Dana Davey reports.
The South Central St. Catherine MP had sought leave to pursue judicial review against the Commission's recommendation that he be charged with illicit enrichment. On Friday, Supreme Court Judge Justice David Batts ruled in Dr. Wheatley's favor. Justice Batts granted the injunction and Dr. Wheatley's application for leave to pursue judicial review. He also recommended that the review be heard by a panel of 3 judges given its importance. Prior to granting the injunction, Justice Batts had invited the Commission to consider an undertaking not to charge Dr. Wheatley until the hearing and a determination of the judicial review. But the Commission, through its lawyers, refused, and the judge granted the injunction. The Commission's application for leave to appeal the ruling was reportedly denied. The IC has alleged that Dr. Wheatley's assets are disproportionate to his income to the tune of $164 million. But the MP fired back and accused the Commission of failing to take into consideration the sum of $168 million in rental income accumulated over a decade. One of Dr. Wheatley's attorneys, Abe Dabdoob, says the ruling supports Dr. Wheatley's decision to file the action. He says the minister's legal team will pursue a judicial review.
What it means is that we are justified in having brought it. Clearly, it's a very clear case that needs to be answered. We are going to be filing a fixed date claim form for judicial review, and our case will be presented before the 3 judges.
Other members of Dr. Wheatley's high-powered legal team in the civil aspect of the proceedings against the IC include King's Counsel K.C. Ransford Braham and Nico Pagan. He has also hired K.C. Peter Champagny. The Integrity Commission is being represented by K.C. Kevin Powell. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide 90 FM. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5:15.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rent-A-Kill Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rent-A-Kill Initial is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 32 in Montego Bay, and 29 in Mandeville.
As a taxi man, every mickle make a muckle. I see him way, so BCIC Easy Pay stay.
Having 11 months to pay my car and home insurance, little by little, puts me at ease.
Exactly. With my type of business, I have to fret about pay a big money, yet always covered.
Get as much as 11 months to pay your car and home insurance while enjoying 100% coverage with BCIC Easy Pay.
Hey, turn up to 25. Turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride with a staycation all inclusive flex? Yeah. I touch a million cash. Yes. Smart TV, PS5, and home upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM. Top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. A smartphone deal or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
Continuing the news, not surprising. That's the reaction of Chairman of the JLP's Communications Task Force, Senator Abka Fitzhenley, to the Court of Appeal's dismissal of the challenge by the PNP's Paul Buchanan to last year's general election success of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness in West Central St. Andrew. The appeal court on Friday morning rejected Buchanan's application for leave to challenge the Supreme Court's dismissal of his bid to pursue judicial review and overturn the 2025 result. This is the latest in a string of losses for Buchanan concerning the case. But the PNP caretaker says he'll take the case as far as the Privy Council. Fitzhenley says his persistence in pursuing this matter is fresh evidence of the PNP's desperation for state power.
The decision of yet another court in Jamaica, this time the Court of Appeal, to decline Buchanan's application for leave is not surprising. Neither is the finding that his application has no real prospect of success. Anybody who follows the politics in Jamaica knows that the votes which were counted last in the election are from an area where Prime Minister Holness is traditionally very strong. Buchanan knows this, but his persistence is not surprising either. It's an indication, a reiteration of the modus operandi of the PNP, where they are willing to assert what they know is not so in order to secure political mileage. It's shameful, quite frankly.
Senator Abka Fitzhenley, chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force.
The National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, is to oversee the $250 million Hermitage Dam expansion project. Water Minister Matthew Samuda made the announcement at a media briefing on Thursday at his ministry's headquarters in St. Andrew.
There is no possibility of guaranteeing stable water supply in Kingston and St. Andrew without Hermitage, based on the hydrological flow of rivers in and around the parish. So that means the government has to make what you call a nation-building investment in rebuilding and expanding the Hermitage Dam. That has an initial assessment of a $250 million US dollar price tag. That project will be guided through NARA, which is why we took Ambassador Anderson to the facility to get him to understand exactly what was in place and what was the current situation there. And that is a project that we expect to get underway early next year.
Minister Samuda led a tour of the Hermitage Dam on Wednesday alongside the CEO of NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson. He announced the planned development as part of his sectoral debate presentation back in April. The project will include a comprehensive technical assessment of structural integrity, sediment levels, and eventual capacity enhancements, all aimed at improving water storage capacity and system resilience across Kingston and St. Andrew. Minister Samuda notes that the Hermitage Dam expansion is not the only major capital project in the works to alleviate water issues across the island.
Now, to note, there are 3 major capital works projects that are already underway in Jamaica. 1, the Rio Cobre Water Treatment Plant, $92 million US. 2, Phase 1 of the Western Resilience Water Program, $170 million, which will see pipelines run from Martha Brae all the way to Negril. That project has started and is in the construction phase. And anyone who is driving along the road in Mobay or certainly Lucy should see activity taking place. And 3, we have completed the engineering phase and the land acquisition phase associated with the Pedro Plains irrigation system, which will see some $200 million spent over the next 3 years in building water resilience for the farmers in St. Elizabeth.
Matthew Samuda, Water Minister.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Voter registration began in Haiti's capital, marking a critical milestone in the push for general elections amid rising gang violence. The government opened 10 registration centers across Port-au-Prince in neighborhoods considered generally safe. Haiti hasn't held general elections in more than a decade. December 13 is the date set for the first round of presidential and legislative elections on the island. Preliminary results are expected on December 19, with final results scheduled for January 9 next year. A second round of presidential, legislative, and local elections is scheduled for February 21, 2027.
Further afield, the U.S. State Department is making permanent a pilot program under which citizens from 50 countries, mainly in Africa, are required to post bonds to apply for a visa. It's also raising the cost to as much as $20,000. The program requires passport holders from affected countries to pay the bond to be interviewed for business and tourist visas. A notice is to be formally released on Monday, the day the program becomes permanent. The pilot program set the maximum bond amount at $15,000 with lower amounts up to $10,000 based on a consular officer's discretion. The final regulation raises the maximum to $20,000.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, appeal court upholds ruling stripping the Financial Services Commission FSC of control of the collapsed brokerage house Stocks and Securities Limited.
Prime Minister loses his appeal of a Supreme Court ruling in his legal challenge with the Integrity Commission.
Dr. Andrew Wheatley's lawyers to press ahead with judicial review against the Integrity Commission. My name is George Davis.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and join the Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, headlines at 6.
Every child deserves the best start in life. Early screening helps identify developmental strengths and areas where children aged 4 and 5 years may need additional support. The Ages and Stages Questionnaire, Jamaica, is a simple developmental screening tool designed to support your child's healthy development and school readiness. Remember, the ASQJ is not an examination. The national administration of the ASQJ begins on August 10, 2026. Speak with your child's early childhood institution today to learn more. The ASQJ, because early screening leads to early support.
Dreaming about a romantic summer escape without leaving Jamaica? Step away from the everyday and reconnect at Couples Resorts. Enjoy an exclusive couples-only getaway with gourmet dining, premium cocktails, and breathtaking ocean views. Jamaican residents can enjoy an all-inclusive escape from $405 per night for travel May 1 through October 31, 2026. Plan your summer staycation today at couples.com/residence. Couples Resorts. Like the first time, every time.
The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs wishes to advise the public that effective Monday, July 27, the Attorney General's chambers will be relocated to the 4th floor of 1 Belmont, 1 to 3 Belmont Road, Kingston 5, and will accept service of court documents, correspondence, and all other items at that location. The ministry apologizes for any inconvenience this change may cause and thanks you for your understanding.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with news from the Commonwealth Games. Sanique Walker ran a brilliant lifetime best in Glasgow, Scotland on Friday to win the women's 400 meters hurdles on day 9 of the 23rd Commonwealth Games. Walker ran a controlled race to win Jamaica's 4th straight Commonwealth gold in the event in 54 seconds flat, while her compatriot Shan Salmon, she fell away in the straight and had to settle for 5th in 55.54 seconds. Walker's was Jamaica's 5th gold medal at the Games after DeMario Prince, Samantha Hall, Romaine Beckford, and Tajay Gale. Jamaica picked up 3 more medals in athletics on the day. National champion Sini Wilson, he secured bronze in the men's 400 meters hurdles. He did 49.22 seconds. Ezekiel Nathaniel of South Africa won in 48.47. Chris Taylor also won bronze, this time in the men's 200 meters. He clocked a lifetime best, 20.11, as the World Championship finalist Sinisipo Dambele of South Africa won in 19.96 seconds. Jevon Powell was 5th in 20.26. Alana Reid closed out the day for Jamaica. She landed bronze in the women's 200 meters. Her time, 22.56 seconds. Ashanti Moore just missed the podium. She was 1/100th of a second behind Reid in 4th in 22.57 seconds. Lavanya Williams, another Jamaican in the event, she finished 5th in 22.62. Adeja Hodge of the British Virgin Islands won in 22.07 seconds. Jamaica qualified for the final of the mixed 4x400 meters relay after placing 3rd in Heat 1 in 3 minutes 17.36 seconds. President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Chris Samuda, is in Scotland with the team.
When I saw our athletes performing in very adverse conditions in respect of which they are not accustomed, my respect for our sportsmen and sportswomen grew tremendously and will continue to be. They make tremendous sacrifices, personal sacrifices for our country, while exemplifying the Olympic attributes and values of resilience, fortitude, and determination, which, are really defining of character.
Meanwhile, Saturday we'll see the Jamaica national netball team going up against Australia in one semi-final at 7 o'clock in the morning. You've got to get up early for this one. And of course, the England team will take on the champions New Zealand in the second semi-final at 9 o'clock. Coach Sasha Gay Henry Wright told Nationwide Sports that her team will have to be switched on throughout the encounter against arguably the best team in the world.
Australia is going to be a big one. They are the number 1 team in the world and they're expecting to make it to the finals. And so we are expecting to make it to the finals. So it's going to be a fierce rivalry. It's going to be very competitive. And I know that for us to even have a chance, we have to play that game for the entire 60 minutes, playing ball by ball, ensuring that we play both mentally and physically in that game. The team spirit is very good now and the girls are really excited about that win and how they perform entering into the semi-finals. I think it's going to be a good matchup come Saturday.
That's Sasha Gay Henry speaking to Nationwide Sports from Scotland. Mount Pleasant Academy, they have qualified for the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup after defeating SV Robin Hood of Suriname 3-0 in the semi-finals of the CFU Club Shield at the Larry Gomes Stadium in Trinidad and Tobago on Friday. New signing Trayvon Reed, Demario Phillips, and Joshua Anglin were on target for the former national champions. Mount Pleasant, they now joined the Premier League champions Portmore United and beaten Premier League finalists Cavalier as Jamaican teams in the Caribbean Cup, which will kick off next week. The St. Anne-based unit will now look to wrap up the Shield on Sunday. They'll face either Metropolitan of Puerto Rico or Delfines del Este of the Dominican Republic, who will meet in the other semi-final. If Mount Pleasant wins the Shield on Sunday, they will play in Group B of the Caribbean Cup, along with Cavalier, Portmore, Cibao, and Salcedo. English Premier League outfit Aston Villa has given the clearest indication yet that the Jamaican international Leon Bailey will be on his way out of the club shortly. The 28-year-old Bailey was left out of Villa's travelling squad for their pre-season trip to Asia with a move to newly promoted Hull City close to being completed. Bailey has 1 year left on his Villa contract, effectively forcing the club's hand at this time rather than risk losing him for nothing come next year. Reports indicate that talks between the clubs have gone well, but Bailey's estimated £120,000 week wages are likely to prove an obstacle to concluding the deal, despite Hull City President Akun Ilikali saying the transfer should be finalized within days. Hull are unlikely to come near matching his current wages. Any deal is expected to need Villa contributing towards a payoff to bridge the gap. New Kingston Football Club's quest to recover funds they say are owing from the sale of national defender Richard King to Scottish club St Mirren's has reached the Supreme Court. Orain Buchanan has more.
A court document seen by Nationwide Sports shows New Kingston Football Club Limited as the claimant. The Jamaica Football Federation is first defendant, Cavalier Soccer Club second defendant, and Allman Woodford Football Club Limited third defendant. According to New Kingston Football Club, their claims in the Supreme Court are as follows: damages for deceit and fraud from the first defendant, a declaration that the second and third defendants hold sums for training rewards that belong to the claimant, a compound interest at 1% above the average commercial bank's prime lending rate for such period, plus costs. Under the rules of football's governing body FIFA, which deals with training compensation, it states that, quote, FIFA training compensation is a financial reward paid to the youth clubs that educate a player, triggered when a player signed their first professional contract and upon each international transfer up to the end of their 23rd birthday. Richard King, who turned 24 on November 27 last year, was transferred from local team Cavalier Soccer Club to Scotland-based St Mirren back in June 2025 on a 2-year deal with the option for a further year. Orain Buchanan reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you very much, Orain. And that will do it for sports at this time. We're going to be back, though, at 6:05 this evening with your evening main sportscast. Albert Sweeby will be here with that one for you.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32, 5:33.
From the vibrant waterfront setting of Ocho Rios Bay Beach to the breathtaking seascape of Laughing Waters, discover exceptional venues for your special events. The temperature by the Urban Development Corporation is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 32 in the western city, Montego Bay.
It's $1 million summer with Mitsubishi. And if I beach, we are go, we have to reach it. Eclipse, cross it to safe and easy. Outlander, link up Pochi week. It's $1 million summer with Mitsubishi. My air sport with space and seating comfortable. It's a Mitsubishi. Hey, it's a Mitsubishi. It's $1 million off. Them tree ride. Features nice with the leather inside. Cool AC, everybody feel right. It's $1 million summer. $1 million summer.
This promotion is authorized under Section 53 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Importers, clear customs, not your schedule. Download the JA Customs Connect mobile app from the Google Play and Apple App Stores and enjoy the ease to calculate your customs duties, search for tariff codes, track and trace your shipments, pay your declarations, and so much more, all in a click, right at your fingertips. So save time, save money. Download JA Customs Connect mobile app today. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For details, visit jca.gov.jm. JA Customs Connect mobile app is powered by the Jamaica Customs Agency. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Yo, this is the Genius. Telling you that Denby 2026 just leveled up this year. July 31st to August 2nd. Just make sure you forward to the Ray Culture Yard at the Denby Agricultural Show in Maypen, Clarendon. So you know the vibes, we're going to have some Ray and Nephew cocktails and celebrate the culture all weekend long. Pull up with your crew, play some exciting games, and create some new memories. Ray and Nephew, a full with culture, and we'll see you at the Ray Culture Yard at Denby Showground. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Denby, Ray Culture Yard.
Get a T-Tag and lock in your toll rates for the next 90 days. Effective Saturday, August 1st, 2026. There will be some changes to the toll rates at the Portmore, Spanish Town, Vineyards, Maypen, Tollgate Mainline, and Tollgate Ramp toll plazas. But with a T-Tag, your rate will remain unchanged until October 31, 2026. Plus, all Class 1 and Class 2 T-Tag customers will get their 10th weekly trip through the same toll plaza free. Visit transjamhighways.com for the upcoming rate changes. Don't pay more at the toll booths. Get your T-Tag today from any manually operated toll booth on Transjam Highways.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Good afternoon, listeners, viewers. Welcome. It's time for Nationwide at 5. I'm your host, Siobhan Campbell, and I take you into the cover story this afternoon. I trust all is well. I trust this Friday is living to everybody's expectations, and I hope the weekend is particularly special. And boy, listeners, or courts, or high courts particularly, have been very busy today. We have quite a few matters now, I won't say settled, but have been substantially moved forward. And we start with the most prominent one, and that is the Court of Appeal upholding a Supreme Court ruling that stripped the Financial Services Commission, FSC, of control of the collapsed investment house Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. However, it has thrown out the order that the regulator pay the company's legal bill. That's according to a judgment handed down just this morning. It follows the FSC's takeover of the now bankrupt entity in 2023 due to an unearthed multi-billion-dollar fraud. More in this report. A 3-judge panel of the appeal court has found that Financial Services Commission, FSC, never put forward the evidence it needed to justify taking over Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, in January of 2023. The FSC's notice of intention to appoint a temporary manager rested on a single ground that it had reason to believe SSL had given a false or misleading statement about its affairs. But Justice of Appeal David Lang, who wrote the leading judgment, says the Commission called only one witness on that point, its Senior Director for Securities, and her evidence did not connect the takeover to SSL's declaration of solvency at all. She told the court she had not seen that declaration until after the decision was made. Justice Lang says the FSC was bound by the reason it cited in its own notice, and that there was not enough cogent evidence before the trial to support it. He describes that failure as fatal to the appeal. Because of it, the court has declined to settle the bigger question the case raised, whether a temporary manager appointed by the regulator outranks a trustee already appointed by a company under the Companies Act. Justice Lang says answering it would amount to deciding an academic point of law, and the court should not do that. President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, and Justice of Appeal Vivian Harris both agreed. The practical effect is that the order made by Justice David Batts in May of 2024 stands. Cadian Campbell's appointment as trustee was and remains valid. The temporary management is discharged, and SSL and Campbell may pursue damages under the undertaking the FSC gave when it obtained an injunction against them. The regulator did win on one ground. Justice Batts had ordered it to pay the costs of the claim relying on a version of Section 2022 of the Financial Services Commission Act that has since been amended. The current section shields the Commission from liability unless there is proof of willful or reckless misconduct. The appeal court found no such proof. Justice Lang says the evidential failure is not the same as the FSC acting outside its regulatory purpose, and that public anxiety over the alleged fraud and SSL's sudden change of course could reasonably have caused the Commission concern. That cost orders is set aside. There will now be no order as to the costs of the claim, though the carve-out does not cover any future proceedings to enforce the undertaking as to damages. The FSC has, however, been ordered to pay 80% of the respondents' costs of the appeal. The dispute goes back to January of 2023, when SSL reported an alleged fraud by a former employee. SSL shareholders voted on January 16 to wind the company up voluntarily and appointed Campbell as trustee. The FSC moved the following day, appointing Kenneth Tomlinson as temporary manager, and went to a court a week later. SSL is now bankrupt and is being wound up under the supervision of the court. Former client relationship manager Jean-Ann Panton remains the only person charged in the matter. So there you have it, listeners. The FSC being told that no, your takeover of Stocks and Securities Limited back in 2023 not justifiable under the circumstances, which I think is an unfortunate ruling because at the time of that, I want to say meltdown, the financial market here in Jamaica was kind of shaken due to the multi-billion-dollar fraud that was perpetrated. And I genuinely don't see how the court could suggest that the FSC's intervention, so to speak, was not warranted. But that is what the court has suggested here today. And ultimately, this does not change anything for the investors because the company is now bankrupt. It's being wound up. And as things stand, the average investor is going to get cents on the dollar. Those that lost money, I should say, are going to get cents on the dollar of what they lost, including one of the country's most beloved sons, and all of that is just unfortunate at this time. Let it stand as a lesson, particularly to those who are invested, not to suggest that you don't trust the system, but especially those senior investors among us, if you're working through a brokerage firm, or you have somebody, a wider lesson, if you have somebody managing your funds on your behalf, always seek a second opinion and always have somebody else provide some oversight or scrutiny to that investment or those funds that you have trusted to somebody. It's not a matter of whether you trust the individual implicitly, but there's a statement, I believe it was Ronald Reagan who put it forward in relation to his dealings with the Soviet Union. He said, trust but verify. And I think that should be the ultimate lesson now here coming from this SSL matter. All you can trust, but always try to verify, listeners. So, listeners, as to the next matters now before the court, and we start with the Prime Minister's, because the Court of Appeal has dismissed Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's appeal against the Supreme Court ruling in his ongoing legal challenge with the Integrity Commission. In a judgment handed down on Friday, the three-member panel affirms all the orders made by the Supreme Court Justice Althea Jarrett on July 31, 2025. The court also lifts the stay of proceedings imposed while the appeal was pending, clearing the way for the substantive judicial review to resume in the Supreme Court. And then we also have the matter of Dr. Andrew Wheatley, who has won the first round of his legal battle with the Integrity Commission. In that ruling, also handed down today by the Supreme Court, as I said, listeners, the High Courts today, very, very busy, has granted him an injunction barring the Integrity Commission from charging him until the hearing and determination of an application for judicial review on that matter. So we are going to take a quick break, listeners, and then we come back. We are going to talk with attorney Abe Dabdoob on these 2 points. So please stay with us.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is...
It is 31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and it's 32 out west in Montego Bay.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Our Total Tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Getting ready for back to school is as easy as KB. Shop at Kingston Bookshop from July 13, 2026 to September 5, 2026 for your chance to win big in our back to school promotion. Spend just $5,000 before GCT, shop online or in store, and you could win $200,000 cash, an HP laptop, or a Samsung Galaxy Tab S10. Pick up in store or shop online today. It's back to school the easy way, only at KB.
Discover something new. Discover the KB difference.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
From the farm to your table, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining is shaping the future of food and farming in Jamaica. Join us this Saturday, August 1 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for special live coverage from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining at the Denby Showground in Maypen, Clarendon. Hear about the Ministry's latest initiatives, programs and innovations that are strengthening agriculture, supporting farmers and enhancing food security across the island. Don't miss this exclusive broadcast, Saturday, August 1 at 11 a.m. live from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining at Denby. Catch this and so much more on our YouTube channel, NNN Radio Live, and keep your dials locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. We are talking high court cases today. The two matters involving the Integrity Commission, one with the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, and the other with Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley. Holness's appeal to the court has been dismissed, essentially paving the way for the greater matter of his concerns over his statutory declarations to now go ahead. And as for Wheatley, a victory of sorts for Dr. Wheatley. He has been granted an injunction barring the Integrity Commission from charging him with illicit enrichment until his matter can now go to judicial review. In order to discuss further, we have the counsel representing Dr. Andrew Wheatley, Abe Dabdoob. Good afternoon, sir. Dabdoob.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you, sir?
I'm alive. Thank you.
Well, so a victory of sorts for your client, Sir Dabdoob, this afternoon. It doesn't affect the ultimate outcome as to where the judicial review would go, but still, it stays any potential charges against Sir Dr. Wheatley, correct?
To a point, but no doubt your listeners will remember that there were a number of points that we made in our application pointing out that the rentals should have been counted as income, that the cars which were sold should have been counted as income, and also other points that we made. And it is important to note that the judge has found that these arguments have a realistic and not a fanciful chance of success, and which is why he came to the conclusion that judicial review should lie.
But it's not a ruling on those points. I'm assuming those matters will still be left to the judicial review itself. He's just suggesting that they do have some merit, correct?
Yes, that you're correct, but the threshold is a low threshold, but he has, in his opinion, found that they are not fanciful, but realistic.
And one of the points of the ruling that surprised me was more the response by the Integrity Commission when the judge asked them to just hold off on potential charges, and they said that they could not guarantee that. You were there in the courtroom. Did the Integrity Commission give an explanation as to why it suggested that it could not just simply hold off until the matter was heard?
No, they did not say that they couldn't do that. They just needed time, they said.
Oh, they needed time. Explain.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to take full instructions from the Integrity Commission. In fairness to them, that they did not really say no. They just was not in a position to answer the judge.
So under the circumstances, it forced the judge's hand into granting the injunction.
I don't know if it forced the judge's hand, because the judge was quite willing to grant the injunction. He made it very clear in his judgment.
So from here, you move on to the judicial review. Based on what has occurred in the courts today, do you feel you have a greater chance of victory in terms of the judicial review itself?
We feel we are going to be successful. The point is, there was no illicit enrichment. That is the point that we have been trying to make all along, and which is why we need judicial review. And as the judge himself said, these matters are not matters which can be resolved or be considered by the criminal court. So the criminal court itself is not an alternative remedy. And, I must make the point. Dr. Wheatley is not a person who is not very well educated. He's a research scientist. And to try and bring his reputation into disrepute is not a fair way to approach a man who has offered service to Jamaica. And we all need to understand that. We can't just attack people because they offer themselves as for service to the nation. Otherwise, we're going to end up with wrong people.
And tell me, Mr. W, I know that you are not representing the Prime Minister on this matter, but there's a similar case involving the Prime Minister in front of the courts relating to the Integrity Commission. In terms of the opinions on that case, do you have any idea as to your considerations there as to why the Prime Minister has sought his own judicial review in relation to his statutory declarations, and further he's considering further remedies as it relates to the illicit enrichment under the Corruption Prevention Act, the charge that your client is currently facing?
I cannot comment on the Prime Minister's case. It would be improper for me to do so, save and except that were I in his position, I would have done the same thing.
And what about his concerns about the constitutionality of the illicit enrichment as a charge under the Corruption Prevention Act? Do you have any opinion on that?
I do have an opinion about the whole Integrity Commission Act. I think it needs to be examined from the point of view of the constitutional rights of individuals. My biggest problem with the Integrity Commission is, the way I put it is, who is going to guard the guards? You can't give people who are not elected absolute power over it. So they need to be accountable also.
And where do you think that accountability lies in terms of the legally elected representatives of the country who in themselves are under scrutiny by the Integrity Commission, or do you feel there needs to be a third party?
As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to corruption, I think we have enough laws to be able to deal with it. What we need is a police force that will enforce the laws. Anybody who has a complaint about corruption should go to MOCA. MOCA can do their investigation and bring an action.
So you don't believe that the Integrity Commission should have the powers to prosecute corruption?
I do not believe that they should have those powers.
So under the matter, though, if the Integrity Commission doesn't have that prosecutorial powers, you believe it should be essentially devolved back to the scenario where it either fell to MOCA or the DPP?
It should go to the DPP. The Constitution provides the DPP with the full power to prosecute or not prosecute. I don't see why we need to depart from our constitutional provisions in order to try and, I don't know, all we do is really create more political problems.
And on that matter of the DPP, Sir Dabdoob, you did raise that in your letter of concern to the Integrity Commission. Did you receive any response as to whether the Commission sought the scrutiny of the DPP, or did they simply just not respond?
No, they both responded, and in the negative. As far as they are concerned, due process was complied with, which we don't agree, and which, had due process been complied with, I don't think we would have been successful in an application for judicial review.
That is Abe Dabdoob. He is the attorney representing Dr. Andrew Wheatley in his case against the Integrity Commission. Sir Dabdoob, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, sir. So, listeners, that is where we leave the cover story for today. Just note that either case, this is not the end of the matters in relation to the Integrity Commission versus Dr. Holness or Dr. Wheatley. Those matters still, the most substantive matters still have to go before the courts, and that will be the settlement as to whether, in the Prime Minister's case, the judicial review of his statutory declarations will be upheld in the favor of the Integrity Commission or not, or whether the court will find constitutional issues with the charge of illicit enrichment. As for Dr. Wheatley, he also has his court battle again in terms of judicial review for the illicit enrichment charge. So we will see how those outcomes come in the near future. But please stay tuned for the headlines, which are next, and we are back here at 6:25.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
This is not just a radio show. This is a lifestyle takeover. Ready to level up your home and your mindset? Tune in to the Design Studio with Karen Booker, your design diva, where bold ideas, refined interiors, and powerful living collide. We're bringing you next level interior design, real decor fixes in What Would Karen Do? Transformation secrets inside Design Lab, and mindset elevation in Thrive 360. Because this is more than design, this is lifestyle. From stunning home tours to confidence building conversations, we're designing rooms and redefining success. Catch the Design Studio Saturdays at 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM and streaming live on YouTube at Nationwide 90 FM Live. Design bold, live elevated, thrive fully.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The Court of Appeal has upheld the Supreme Court ruling that stripped the Financial Services Commission, FSC, of control of the collapsed investment house Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. However, it has thrown out the order that the regulator pay the company's legal bill. Now, that's according to a judgment handed down on Friday morning. It follows the FSC's takeover of the now bankrupt entity in 2023 due to a multi-billion-dollar fraud. A 3-judge panel of the appeal court found that the FSC never put forward the evidence it needed to justify taking over SSL in January of 2023. The FSC's notice of intention to appoint a temporary manager rested on a single ground that it had reason to believe SSL had given a false or misleading statement about its affairs. But Justice of Appeal David Lang, who wrote the leading judgment, says the Commission called only one witness on that point, its Senior Director for Securities, and her evidence did not connect the takeover to SSL's declaration of solvency at all. She told the court she had not seen that declaration until after the decision was made. The Court of Appeal has dismissed an appeal by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness against a Supreme Court ruling in his legal battle with the Integrity Commission. In a judgment handed down on Friday, the 3-member panel affirmed all the orders by the Supreme Court Justice Althea Jarrett on July 31, 2025. The court also lifted the stay of proceedings imposed while the appeal was pending, clearing the way for the substantive judicial review to resume in the Supreme Court. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, along with Imperium Holdings Limited, Positive Media Solutions Limited, and Positive Jamaica Foundation Limited, had asked the court to strike out several paragraphs of a second affidavit sworn by Craig Beresford, then the Commission's Director of Information and Complaints. The appellants argued the paragraphs were scandalous, frivolous, and vexatious, and that their prejudicial effect outweighed their probative value. Writing for the court, Justice Frank Williams finds the paragraphs were a direct response, to the Prime Minister's own evidence. Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley has won the first round of his legal battle with the Integrity Commission. The Supreme Court on Friday granted him an injunction barring the Commission from charging him until the hearing and determination of an application for judicial review. The South Central St. Catherine MP had sought leave to pursue judicial review against the Commission's recommendation that he be charged with illicit enrichment. On Friday, Supreme Court Judge Justice David Batts ruled in Dr. Wheatley's favor. Justice Batts granted the injunction and Dr. Wheatley's application for leave to pursue judicial review. He also recommended that the review be heard by a panel of 3 judges, given its importance. Not surprising, that's the reaction of Chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force, Senator Abka Fitzhenley, to the Court of Appeal's dismissal of the challenge by the PNP's Paul Buchanan to last year's general election success of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness in West Central St. Andrew. The appeal court on Friday morning rejected Buchanan's application for leave to challenge the Supreme Court's dismissal of his bid to pursue judicial review and overturn the 2025 result. This is the latest in a string of losses for Buchanan concerning the case. But the PNP caretaker says he'll take the case as far as the Privy Council. Fitz-Henley says his persistence in pursuing this matter is fresh evidence of the PNP's desperation for state power.
The decision of yet another court in Jamaica, this time the Court of Appeal, to decline Buchanan's application for leave is not surprising. Neither is the finding that his application has no real prospect of success. Anybody who follows the politics in Jamaica knows that the votes which were counted last in the election are from an area where Prime Minister Holness is traditionally very strong. Buchanan knows this, but his persistence is not surprising either. It's an indication, a reiteration of the modus operandi of the PNP, where they are willing to assert what they know is not so in order to secure political mileage. It's shameful, quite frankly.
Senator Abka Fitz-Henley, chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force. The St. Andrew Central Police are urging event promoters and organizers to comply with law enforcement and submit applications for permits for entertainment events before hosting them. The division has already issued 665 permits for entertainment events so far this year. Commanding Officer for the St. Andrew Central Police, Superintendent Mark Harris, says the granting of permits and monitoring of events continue to be a significant challenge for the division.
Outside of crime fighting, that is a big challenge that I have to rise to and deal with. You know that sometimes you give the permits and persons don't want to comply with the time. So we still have to find police to ensure the enforcement that they are, locked off by a certain time, because a lot of persons will complain that the music is going beyond 2, going 3. Sometimes these promoters don't want to follow the time because they're seeking a little more time. And sometimes when my officers, like my deputy superintendents, may go there or inspector, they're saying, boss, we're not going to turn it off. Nobody never reach yet. So you know that those promoters really, because Jamaicans like to go late rather than early.
Superintendent Mark Harris, commanding officer for the St. Andrew Central Police. The division serves as host to several major national events during the summer period. These include the upcoming Independence Grand Gala and the annual Boys and Girls Championships, as well as smaller concerts and community entertainment activities. Roughly 25% or 171 permits have been granted for the summer period. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Hey, turn up to 25. Turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride with a staycation all inclusive flex? Yeah. I touch a million cash. Yes. Smart TV, PS5, and home upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM. Top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. A smartphone deal or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
Come back, we go down a them be. Learn about agriculture, have fun and laugh with the whole family. Down a them be. Come back, we go down a them be. And the biggest agriculture show in the Caribbean, say July 31 to August. We are gonna have one heap of livestock on display. In this village, for the pitney them play. Come enjoy the hype road, them the gospel show, and get your heart redeemed. Run, come buy your plants and produce and witness the crowning of your farm queen. Don't have them be. Admission adults 1,500, children 600.
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, leave a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God, me say you watch you over me practice.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alex Swaby. We start with the Commonwealth Games as Sneaky Walker ran a brilliant lifetime best in Glasgow, Scotland on Friday to win the women's 400 meters hurdles on day 9 of the 23rd Commonwealth Games. Wayne Walker tells us more.
Walker ran a controlled race to win Jamaica's fourth straight Commonwealth gold in the event in 54 seconds flat, while her compatriot Chance Salmon, she fell away in the straight and had to settle for fifth in 55.54 seconds. Walker's was Jamaica's fifth gold medal at the Games after DeMario Prince, Samantha Hall, Romaine Beckford and Tajay Gale. Jamaica picked up 3 more medals in athletics on the day. National champion Sini Wilson, he secured bronze in the men's 400 meters hurdles. He did 49.22 seconds. Ezekiel Nathaniel of South Africa won in 48.47. Chris Taylor also won bronze, this time in the men's 200 meters. He clocked a lifetime best 20.11 as the world championship finalist Sinisipo Dambele of South Africa won in 19.96 seconds. Jevon Powell was fifth in 20.26. Alana Reid closed out the day for Jamaica. She landed bronze in the women's 200 meters. Her time 22.56 seconds. Ashante Moore just missed the podium. She was 1/100th of a second behind Reid in fourth in 22.57 seconds. Lavanya Williams, another Jamaican in the event, she finished fifth in 22.62. Adeja Hodge of the British Virgin Islands won in 22.07 seconds. Jamaica qualified for the final of the mixed 4x400 meters relay after placing third in Heat 1 in 3 minutes 17.36 seconds. President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Chris Samuda, is in Scotland with the team.
When I saw our athletes performing in very adverse conditions in respect of which they are not accustomed, my respect for sportsmen and sportswomen grew tremendously and will continue to be. They make tremendous sacrifices, personal sacrifices for our country, while exemplifying the Olympic attributes and values of resilience, fortitude, and determination, which, are really defining of character.
Meanwhile, Saturday we'll see the Jamaica national netball team going up against Australia in one semi-final at 7 o'clock in the morning. And of course, the England team will take on the champions New Zealand in the second semi-final at 9 o'clock. Coach Sasha Gay Henry Wright told Nationwide Sports that her team will have to be switched on throughout the encounter against arguably the best team in the world.
Australia is going to be a big one. They are the number one team in the world and they're expecting to make it to the finals. And so we are expecting to make it to the finals. So it's going to be a fierce rivalry. It's going to be very competitive. I know that for us to even have a chance, we have to play that game for the entire 60 minutes, playing ball by ball, ensuring that we play both mentally and physically in that game. The team spirit is very good now and the girls are really excited about that win and how they perform entering to the semi-finals. I think it's going to be a good matchup come Saturday.
That's Sasha Gay Henry speaking to Nationwide Sports from Scotland.
Thank you, Wayne. Now, English Premier League outfit Aston Villa has given the clearest indication yet that Jamaican international Leon Bailey will be on his way out of the club shortly. The 28-year-old Bailey was left out of Villa's travelling squad for their pre-season trip to Asia, with a move to newly promoted Hull City close to being completed. Bailey has 1 year left on his Villa contract, effectively forcing the club's hand at this time, rather than risk losing him for nothing next season. Reports indicate that talks between the clubs have gone well, but Bailey's estimated £120,000 a week wages are likely to prove an obstacle to concluding the deal. Despite Hull's president Akun Ilkale saying the transfer should be finalized within days, Hull are unlikely to come near matching his current wages. Any deal is expected to need Villa contributing towards a payoff to bridge the gap. And the Mount Pleasant Academy have qualified for the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup after defeating SV Robin Hood of Suriname 3-0 in the semi-finals of the CFU Club Shield at the Larry Gomes Stadium in Trinidad on Friday. New signing Trevon Reed, Demaria Phillips and Jashawn Anglin were on target for the former national champions. Mount Pleasant now joins Premier League champions Portmore United and Cavalier as Jamaican teams in the Caribbean Cup, which kicks off next week. The Centre-based unit will now look to wrap up the seal on Sunday when they face either Metropolitano of Puerto Rico or Delfines del Este of the Dominican Republic, who will meet in the other semi-final. If Mount Pleasant wins the seal on Sunday, they will play in Group B of the Caribbean Cup with Cavalier, Portmore United, Ciboa FC and Salcedo FC. And New Kingston Football Club's quest to recover funds they say are owing from the sale of national defender Richard King to Scottish club St Mirren has reached the Supreme Court. Owen Buchanan tells us more.
A court document seen by Nationwide Sports shows New Kingston Football Club Limited as the claimant the Jamaica Football Federation is first defendant, Cavalier Soccer Club second defendant, and Allman Woodford Football Club Limited third defendant. According to New Kingston Football Club, their claims in the Supreme Court are as follows: damages for deceit and fraud from the first defendant, a declaration that the second and third defendants hold sums for training rewards that belong to the claimant, a compound interest at 1% above the average commercial bank's prime lending rate for such period, plus costs. Under the rules of football's governing body FIFA, which deals with training compensation, it states that, quote, FIFA training compensation is a financial reward paid to the youth clubs that educate a player, triggered when a player signed their first professional contract and upon each international transfer up to the end of their 23rd birthday. Richard King, who turned 24 on November 27 last year, was transferred from local team Cavalier Soccer Club to Scotland-based St Mirren back in June 2025 on a 2-year deal with the option for a further year. Orain Buchanan reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you, Orain. Now to some bodybuilding, as Mayberry Investment Limited has reaffirmed its commitment to the growth of local sport by announcing a $1 million sponsorship for the 2026 Mayberry Jamaica Amateur Bodybuilding and Fitness Association Jabford National Senior Championships, strengthening its long-standing partnership with the country's premier bodybuilding competition. The announcement was made during the official launch of the championships at the Ligonier Club. Mayberry has served as the title sponsors of the National Senior Championships since 2022, consistently investing in local sport, health, lifestyles, and athlete development. Marketing manager at Mayberry Investment, Desiree Wheeler, said the continued sponsorship reflects the firm's belief that supporting bodybuilding is an investment in human potential and community development.
To every athlete preparing to step onto the stage this season, we want to wish you all the best going into the competition. We see the sacrifices, the discipline, and the years behind every moment on stage. You have already achieved something remarkable simply by committing to this journey. We look forward to a championship that showcases the very best of Jamaican bodybuilding and fitness, and we thank you all for being a part of this journey with us.
A highlight of the launch was a live category demonstration by athletes preparing for the championships. Jabford treasurer Oric Anderson praised Mayberry's continued investment, describing the financial institution as a strategic partner that has helped elevate the quality and profile of the national championships.
Mayberry has been far more than just a sponsor. They have become a strategic partner to our association in the growth and transformation of bodybuilding in Jamaica. Their investment has really enabled us to enhance the quality of the national championship, to strengthen the development of our athlete development programs, and to improve our presentation and marketing by creating greater opportunities for athletes to pursue excellence both locally and internationally.
The 2026 Mayberry Jabford National Senior Championships is scheduled for August 5 at Woolmer's Boys School, where Jamaica's top bodybuilding and fitness athletes will compete for national honors. And now to cricket, as West Indies pacer Alzarri Joseph has broken his silence since after failing to report to the West Indies camp for the first test against Pakistan last week. Joseph has responded to the reports that he declined selection with a scathing response that includes the following statement: "I'm representing the West Indies. I'm not representing Darren Sammy." Mahiri Stewart breaks down the details in this developing story.
It was first reported that Darren Sammy, head coach of the team, stated that fast bowler Alzarri Joseph had declined selection and that possible disciplinary action could be taken. However, Sammy stated that he was removing himself from the situation and leaving it up to the selection panel to handle this matter with Joseph.
Yeah, it is a big loss. Mr. Joseph has declined selection. That's the reality of the situation. He was selected. I mean, he's now coming from injury, and for reasons and he has declined the selection. That is a decision that is way over my head. I leave that with the directors to come up with, whatever solutions that is where contracted players get to decline selection.
Now, in an interview with Antigua Observer's Good Morning Jojo sports show, Joseph responded to the claims. Joseph stated, quote, We had a chat, myself and the head coach. I've also had a chat with Cricket West Indies, and if you realize the statement CWI released, said personal reasons. End quote. Joseph, who recently returned to international cricket following a lower back stress fracture, further stated that, quote, obviously I've been out for an entire year. I haven't played at international intensity for so long, having had a second stress fracture, end quote. Joseph further stated, quote, we spoke about me playing the 2 test matches here, playing 5 back-to-back ODIs against New Zealand and how my body was feeling, and I knew that I was not ready to go into another test series, end quote. Joseph added that he has no problem playing under Sammy's leadership once he's selected. He added the following, quote, I'm representing West Indies. I'm not representing Darren Sammy, so for me, I'm neither here nor there in terms of a relationship. I don't go there to make friends. I go there to work and do a job and represent the people of the West Indies. End quote. Mahiri Stewart, reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you, Mahiri. And that's all the time we have for sports. I'm Alex Swaby.
Stop buying expensive toner cartridges. Global Ink is now selling new factory direct generic toners. Remove factory seals, install and print. Engineered to work first time, every time. Certified for use in HB and Brother printers. Worry-free, affordable printing for your peace of mind. Money saved is money earned. We deliver island-wide. 754-7444. Never run out of toner again. Global Ink. 754-7444.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10 or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Yo, this is the Genius. Telling you that Denby 2026 just leveled up this year. July 31st to August 2nd. Just make sure you forward to the Ray Culture Yard at the Denby Agricultural Show in Maypen, Clarendon. So you know the vibes, we're gonna have some Ray and Nephew cocktails and celebrate the culture all weekend long. Pull up with your crew, play some exciting games and create some new memories. Ray and Nephew, a full with culture, and we'll see you at the Ray Culture Yard at Denby Showground. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Denby, Ray Culture Yard.
Get ready for Nationwide 90 FM at Denby. Follow Nationwide 90 FM to the Denby Agricultural Industrial Food Show on July 31 from 3 to 5 p.m. We're bringing you the vibes, the voices, and the vibrant culture from Jamaica's biggest agri celebration. Then follow me again to Denby on August 1 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. From farm to fork, youth in agriculture, and the best local produce. You'll hear it all. Keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM. We're bringing the Denby Agricultural Industrial Food Show to your airwaves on July 31 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Then on August 1 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Jamaica Agricultural Society, JN Bank, Jamaica Customs Agency, the College of Agriculture Science and Education, National Irrigation Commission, Jamaica Aid Support for Life, the Jamaica Dairy Development Board, and Soul Jamaica.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honeybee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Really try
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 7 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 7 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Sunday is a day for reflection and praise, so start it with Lutheran Ministries in Jamaica.
God, we know you're gonna bless us.
Listen to Nationwide 90 FM every Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. for the Lutheran Hour. Brought to you by the Lutheran Ministries Jamaica, located at 33 Courtney Walsh Drive in Kingston. That's the Lutheran Hour, Sundays at 8:30 a.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Visit or contact the Jamaican Lutheran Hour at 33 Courtney Walsh Drive, Kingston 10. WhatsApp or call 876-348-9085. Find us on Facebook at Jamaican Lutheran Hour or email lutheranh@gmail.com.
The news cycle doesn't end on Friday. It needs perspective. That's why every Sunday at midday, Nationwide 90 FM presents The Week That Was. A clear, informed review of the top stories that shaped the past week, what really mattered and what lies ahead. No noise, no theatrics, just analysis, context, and clarity. The Week That Was. Sundays at 12 p.m. Understand the news before the week begins. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
The National Water Commission wishes to advise that pipeline installation works will begin along Old Hope Road between Retreat Avenue and Monroe Road on Monday, August 3, as Phase 3 of the Monroe-Wellington Pipeline project gets underway. Motorists should expect temporary traffic changes, including the closure of the two inner northbound lanes. The southbound lanes will be used for northbound and southbound traffic. In addition, southbound traffic will be restricted from turning right onto Retreat Avenue between 7 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. and again between 3 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. The NWC apologizes for any inconvenience these essential infrastructure works may cause and encourages commuters to plan their journeys ahead of time, obey all posted traffic signs, and follow the directions of traffic personnel. That was an important announcement from the National Water Commission.
Wake up, Jamaica!
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m.
Coming up in the news at 7.
And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated, and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Ludlow McLean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah, my friend.
And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the Revolution in Media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else
for those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:30.
The Nation's Business is brought to you by the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth.
Good evening, listeners, viewers. Welcome back. It's time for the Nation's Business. And, well, I suppose this is always a troubling one to have. I think a lot of people might share this sentiment, you know, the weekend holiday, where that public holiday falls on a Saturday, where you would be at home enjoying your well-deserved day off nonetheless. And as is again, Emancipation Day will fall on a Saturday this year. It's also being observed on that same day in keeping with the holiday's Public General Act. According to the provisions of the Act, if Labor Day, May 23, falls on a Saturday or Sunday, then it should be celebrated on the following Monday. The Act only provides for a postponement of other public holidays if they fall on a Sunday. So in circumstances where holidays such as Emancipation Day fall on a Saturday, that's the day they will be observed. But is having a holiday on a weekend pointless? Should we look at amending the Holidays Public General Act? For that discussion, we are being joined by poet and international development specialist Casey Garvey, and we hope to get in contact with public affairs commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang in a few minutes. Good evening, Casey Garvey. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you're hearing me.
I'm hearing you loud and clear. And I suppose this is one that a lot of people tend to be peeved by when they hear that public holiday, that day they could get a nice little break, unfortunately falls on a day they would already be taking a break. What say you in terms of specifically to Emancipation Day, why that one was left out of the general understanding of both Saturday and Sunday?
I'm assuming that the powers that be were trying to maintain some level of sensitivity to the origin of the day. You know, you don't want to feel as though you're watering down something as momentous and important as, you know, ending slavery, literally making all of us free and equal as human beings. You don't want to seem as though you're watering that down. So that's my assumption behind the logic for being so stringent with maintaining the commemoration of the day on that specific day. I'm not shifting it to another day.
And I'm not trying to make an equivocation between, say, Labor Day and Emancipation Day, but you have other holidays like Easter, etc., and they follow essentially the same trend. And I suppose, is there really the case that the meaning of the day will be lost simply if we say we're going to give somebody just an additional day to celebrate it, just to extend it a little bit to say a Monday rather than just celebrating it on the day?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And in fact, actually, as someone who is an ecosystem builder in the creative sector, I think it would be better if we made it just a 4-day weekend. If you just said, you know what, we're just going to celebrate on these specific, on like the Monday and the Friday, just to make it a prolonged time, it would actually draw more attention, or at least facilitate more activities, better planning, better structure around ensuring that there are enough activities to commemorate the significance of this day. So I don't think that it waters it down at all.
But and under the circumstances, because I know that is the case of Independence Day in the United States, it's always essentially a 4-day weekend. It always falls within that bracket there of a 4-day weekend. And in here, Jamaica, we seem to do things by a certain, I want to say, almost antiquated metric where we believe some things should be sacred cows. And I think in this instant case, they're suggesting that Independence Day is that sacred cow. Or so Emancipation Day, rather, is that sacred cow.
Yeah, and I believe so, that it's this untouchable kind of day. But again, we need to ask ourselves, what are we trying to do? Like, don't just do something for the sake of doing something. Examine what the end result will be, and see if the process we're currently undertaking will lead to that result in the most efficient way. If we're trying to get people to pause and reflect on this day, the meaning of it, how it has changed, drastically changed the trajectory of all of our lives, is keeping the day the best way to do that? Or is the best way to do that ensure that those of us in the country and even in the diaspora can take the time to participate in and plan activities that celebrate and highlight the significance of that day? I think that is the key question we need to ask.
And it further comes into question because, remember, there's always that perennial question as well, because we have Emancipation Day and Independence Day essentially a very short period of time between each other, and there's always this call just to have an extended weekend holiday essentially between the 2 days, rather than this kind of we'll celebrate one day, then we'll celebrate the other day, and then people reject the notion of having an Emancipendence weekend, so to speak, because there's the fear that doing so essentially corrupts or watered down the two very separate, although I would believe very much interconnected and seminal days in Jamaican history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, it's interconnected, and I think it's perfectly safe to see that they're interconnected without saying that they are one and the same. Nobody's going to say that, but the fact that they are so close together, again, gives us, how would you say, economies of scale when it comes to celebrating various elements of our history that occurred, at least on the calendar, within the same time. Make it, I mean, we're already doing it. When you look at all of these events, the Mellow-go-round, Grand Gala, they're already happening within days of each other. So why not do it in a way that
I have a different theory.
facilitates?
I was about to bring you in, Kevin. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, little history here. When we got independence, the PNP wanted it to be the first Emancipation Day, and the JLP wanted it to be Labor Day, the 24th day, when you had the we call it political revolution, right? And
yes.
The British just said, all right, started the argument, the 6th. So that is how it came to be. But I have a Occam's razor. I'm a simplistic thinker, My question on this is, what do the Jamaican people want? That should be, because holidays are made to please the people. Not people made to please the holidays. The whole idea of a holiday is that people to do what they want. Freedom. Freedom is to do what you want. Then let the people be free to choose.
But
I have taken hundreds of vox pops on this, right? Hundreds. Just today I took about 20, 30 more. The vast majority of Jamaican people want the 4 days so they can choose to do what they want. They can sleep for 4 days. They can go party for 4 days. That's what they want. And the Don Anderson poll showed 62% in favor, 26% against. And I can tell you, it's gone even more now. Under 50 people, almost all of them want it. So I don't see the logic. Emancipation was the first step of freedom, the greatest step of freedom. Treated like subhuman creatures became human beings. Independence was the next step. But we don't have no colonialism. We have independent country now. It's about freedom. Give the people the freedom to choose. How about if they need to have a referendum? But I can state categorically, I will bet anybody, any amount of money, the Jamaican people will choose the 4 days because it gives them the freedom to do what they want. When you have Saturday tomorrow, let me tell you tomorrow now, how much people are going to feel Emancipation Day? Very, very few going to come out of them yard. So if you want to strengthen it, if you put it forward, it will strengthen the cause. You can do more things with it. Right? And critically, if you move it to the 4-day weekend, the 1st and the 6th will both be sacred days still. A lot of the Caribbean has Emancipation Monday. Bahamas, Antigua, Dominica, a lot of them do it. Jamaica, look at more history. From 1962 to 1997, Independence Day, there was no Emancipation Day. Independence Day was the first Monday in August. That is the history. So doing what the people want is not far from what used to be. And I can say that you will have more people feeling the vibe if you do it like this, because people have time to do what they want. Instead of being forced to do by a minority. What we're doing now is a minority of people want to keep the 1st and the 6th. A minority. Hold on, one last thing I said. We did the poll. How can 26% of the democracy overrule 62%? Don't talk.
But Kevin, I suppose it seems that both the guests fundamentally agree on this point. So let me try to play devil's advocate here. Under the principle of just the historic and the educational significance of both days, let's use Labor Day, for example. I think for a lot of Jamaicans, Labor Day has sort of lost its meaning beyond just being a public
holiday. That should also be the first Monday. That should be the Monday. They shouldn't have it during the week. It's crazy. When you have a holiday, you have to get up next day. It's not a holiday, Holiday is when you can sleep in and do all you want. That one should change also to the first Monday, the Monday after the close to the 23rd.
But should we be so flexible in days of such significant importance to the country on the basis that people just want a day off?
What do the people want? Who are we? The people are we. We, 3 of us are not we. Who is the we here? The we are the will of the people. Of the people, by the people, for the people. What the people want is the we. The we else is a minority.
So under the circumstances, Kevin, you suggest that we simply do have that simple Emancipation long weekend, regardless of whether it falls on a Saturday or a Sunday?
Monday to Thursday. The first Friday in August is Emancipation Day, holiday, and the following Monday is Independence Day holiday. The 1st and the 6th remain sacred. We have the ceremonies and stuff because they're both sacred days. And they're continuum. In the Emancipation is a continuum, from slavery was abolished, and you get independence. It's the same thing. It's all about freedom. The freedom of the people to do what they want. That is the essence of emancipation and Independence Day. I cannot see how, in a democracy, 26% can overrule 62%.
Do you recall, and I brought this up because the former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson was one of those people who argued vehemently against this idea of having a merged Emancipendence holiday, and saying that it should be kept separate due to the significant importance of both days. And do you see an argument there, Kevin, that we do as a people need to have that understanding?
Mr. Patterson is entitled to his right. He served his country well. He did a great thing by bringing back Emancipation Day. I will say that. It had been forgotten, and bringing it back was a great thing. Brilliant idea. But right now, Mr. Patterson is a citizen like all of us. He's not Prime Minister anymore. He has a voice, and so do 3 million Jamaicans. Why should a minority overrule a majority? That is my simple argument. The we here has to be the people. It cannot be anything else. Everything else is a minority trying to dictate to the majority what should be done. And that is exactly what Emancipation Day was against. And Independence Day also was against. It was against a minority telling the Jamaican masses what they should do.
Casey?
Freedom of the people is to do what we wish with our holiday, enjoy it how we want, not tell we how to do it.
Casey Garvey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So I know Kevin doesn't want to hear, but I'm going to quote P.J. Patterson. This was a letter when we first had this discussion, and he says, the idea that the present separation from Independence Day is inconvenient to some and causes discomfort must be firmly rejected. Comfort and convenience cannot be our response to the deaths and atrocities of the Middle Passage. That equation is untenable, but if ever there was a disaster in enforcing such an inequitable balance, that time is now. Why is this so? That is P.J. Patterson calling to the notion that we should not have this idea of merging the 2 days, and we should celebrate them on the day of such importance, whether it falls on the Saturday and is an inconvenience as to whether you don't get an additional day. How do you answer to that?
I would say, one, we're still not merging the days. I'm still trying to figure out why we're conflating two concepts. I mean, merging the days is just be calling it all on one day, and we're not doing that. And then, in fact, actually, I think what Kevin and I are purporting would lead to even a double celebration. For instance, if, let's say, Emancipation Day falls on a Tuesday, there are still ceremonies and activities on the Tuesday that highlight that day, even though persons would still be able to get the Friday off to be able to, again, do what they want if they want to party, or if you want to go to a dance show, a theater production that enacts the process of slaves finally becoming free and that taste of freedom that morning when it was all abolished. I mean, there are ways you can actually double up the celebration instead of lumping it all together. So I think I really don't see any downside. I'm still not seeing it. Whether you're an employer or an employee, both sides will benefit. Employees will get more holidays. Employers can have more structure, right, when it comes to mapping things out, instead of having those lagging days of productivity in between where persons are, half here, half not. The office is half empty. People are sometimes even trying to squeeze out an extra day or two to create their long weekends since it's not being given to them. I mean, the benefits are clear. And, that even in addition to what Kevin was saying about the fact that it's the people's right. Like, if it's our holiday, it's our right. True. That's why our forefathers fought so hard for us to be able to have our voice when it comes to how we use our time. It's not just about comfort. It's about the overall principle of what emancipation is and what independence is and what democracy is. So I'm just still a bit baffled by that. And there's also precedents in other countries as well, other countries that we are often quoted or cited as trying to emulate in certain ways. I mean, Singapore and Japan have, rotating days when it comes to some of their key national holidays for the same reason. And because of that, they've also seen increase in tourism earnings, all right, because of how they've allowed for this quote-unquote roving days to commemorate these key national holidays. So, I mean, some even think, I think it was Japan's Golden Week that saw even up to 8.9% increase in tourism arrivals because of the fact that they could create this longer time, this prolonged time, that due to the roving days that created that flexibility. Why are we not taking this seriously? Do we take our tourism product seriously? Do we take earnings seriously? Do we take our cultural sector seriously? Do we take the rights of our people, which were won through blood, lots of blood and sweat and tears, seriously? We just need to ask ourselves, do we take ourselves seriously when it comes to these things?
Flexibility, I suppose. That's Casey Garvey. She is a poet and international development specialist.
And also she had great ancestors,
Can we not? I'm here to speak as my own woman. We don't need to go down that road.
And that was public affairs commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm sure when this crops up again, it will be another discussion along the same lines, but it's quite an interesting one.
Hopefully it will be action and not discussion.
Hopefully the next discussion is the people have gotten what they want. The people's wishes have been fulfilled.
Maybe we should put that to a referendum. Gentlemen, lady, thank you for joining.
I agree 100%.
Thank you for joining me this evening. We'll take a break, listeners, and then we come back with the report from UNAID regarding HIV in the Caribbean.
The Nation's Business was brought to you by the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth. The Jamaica International Financial Services Authority promotes Jamaica as a jurisdiction for international financial services. Visit JIFSA at jifsa.gov.jm. The time by JIFSA is...
It's 6:48.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining is inviting you to run, come join in down at Dembe. Whole heap of things in store for you and your friends. In the Ministry Village, come see the future of agriculture on display. In the Ministry Village, plants from public gardens on sale all day. In the Ministry Village, food and exhibits, games and fun for every age. In the Ministry Village, July 31 to August 2 down at Dembe Stage.
Dembe 72, growing forward, cultivating a path to a better Jamaica.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. So, a special report from the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS, is raising concern about the future of HIV response in Latin America and the Caribbean. The report was presented at the 26th International AIDS Conference in Brazil recently. It says the region recorded less than 153,000 new HIV infections and 32,800 AIDS-related deaths in 2025. The Caribbean has seen a 30% decline in new HIV infections and a 65% reduction in AIDS-related deaths since 2010. However, UNAIDS warns that progress is slowing and the region remains off track to meet its HIV targets. The agency says reductions in international funding for HIV programs and prevention services could lead to a resurgence of the epidemic if governments don't increase domestic investment. The report also highlights the need for renewed action as countries work towards global targets aimed at ending AIDS as a public threat by 2030. Joining us now to discuss the report and what it means for the Caribbean community is the Community Support Advisor for UNAIDS, Javian Nelson. Good evening, rather.
Evening, Siobhan. How are you?
It's good to hear from you. So, Javian, and I think let's start with this because the numbers are heading in the right direction, correct? A 30% reduction in HIV infections and a 65% reduction in AIDS-related deaths. But yet there's this warning that the funding might be slipping. Isn't that a little at odds?
Well, yes. So the numbers are moving in the right direction, and I think across the Caribbean region, we have a lot to celebrate. So as you rightly said in your introduction, we have a 30% reduction in new infections between 2010 and 2025. The challenge is that governments across the world have made commitments to reduce new infections by significantly higher percentages. So we are far away from the 90% reduction that we have all committed to as a global community, from Jamaica to Trinidad and Tobago to Guyana to South Africa. All the countries have made this commitment. And so this is why we are raising this alarm that, yes, across the Caribbean, we have seen reductions. 30% in new infections, AIDS-related deaths by 65%, which is remarkable, but this progress is not enough. And so there has to be a little bit more work that we have to do to accelerate the progress around reducing AIDS-related deaths, and importantly, reducing new infections. And this is why we are saying that reductions in funding also pose a threat to the HIV programs across the region, because there has been significant investment from a number of external partners, the Global Fund, for example, and the U.S. government across the region to support a number of countries in their HIV programs. The Global Fund, for example, and U.S. government are in transition mode. Already, the Global Fund, for example, has said to the Caribbean that they are going to be transitioning out. And so what you see now is that we are moving from individual country grants to next year, starting 2028, one regional grant to cover all of the countries that are eligible for the Global Fund.
And I'm imagining that is going to impact what each country gets in terms of their amount of that grant in order to continue the fight.
Absolutely. It will have a significant effect on the country's total allocations, and which is why one of the key things that you see in the release from our regional director, Louisa Cabal, is that we are calling on governments across the region to increase domestic financing for the HIV programs. We have seen notable progress over the years, and you've seen the latest report, for example, that domestic financing has increased across the world, but the important thing is that we need much more across the region. And this is especially important because we need to see funding as well for proven prevention programs and, importantly, for community-led programs. So programs led by people living with HIV, programs led by sex workers, programs led by transgender persons, gay men and other men who have sex with men, to really help in reaching the targets that we want to reach, where prevention is concerned and important for treatment as well.
So tell me, Javian, under the circumstances where there are reductions in both HIV infections and deaths related to AIDS, is there a concern of relapse under the circumstances, considering that the kind of mystification and stigma and other absurdities that used to surround HIV/AIDS have more or less fallen to the wayside? Is there still a concern that without the proper funding there could be a relapse into some of this?
Yes, the funding is critical because governments need funding and, importantly, other stakeholders. For example, if you think about Jamaica, you have a Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, which provides significant support to the total response in the country, reaching people from its 3 offices in Kingston, in Ocho Rios, and Montego Bay for prevention programs and, importantly, for treatment. So these financing for the HIV response is particularly important, and we can't allow ourselves to regress, which is why we see already in Latin America, for example, there are some worrying trends in the data where there has been a slight increase in the number of new infections. And so the UNAIDS is calling for all governments across the region to really do more to protect the gains that we have made over the years. And we have seen, Siobhan, where political commitments translated into budgets and into technical approaches and into this, all of government approach to reaching the targets has paid off. Across the region, we have made significant gains in eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Jamaica, I think, was certified by the World Health Organization in 2024, and several other countries have been certified as well. Just recently this year, you have Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas that were certified as well. So we have seen where the elimination of mother-to-child transmission initiative shows what we can do as a region. And so as an organization, we are saying to our governments, to our stakeholders in civil society, to community-led organizations, let's band together, let's do more. But funding is going to be important. Addressing the stigma and discrimination around HIV is always also going to be important, Siobhan. So yes, we have seen some changes. We have seen more people living with HIV being more bold and out there in the public, whether in their social media or in traditional media. But the data still shows that across the region, in several countries, and importantly, across the world, a number of people living with HIV and those who are at risk of becoming HIV positive have faced significant barriers related to stigma and discrimination and harmful laws and policies.
All right. Okay, and then just finally, regarding that 2030 target of eliminating AIDS as a public health threat, how far off are we? And under the circumstances, what do we need to do to ratchet it up to get to that target?
So I think the critical thing for us to do, and which we also said in our press release, is that, one, we have to increase domestic financing to sustain the gains and, importantly, scale of what we are doing. Two, we need to invest in evidence-based prevention interventions and supporting community-led organizations to implement programs that will also have a positive impact. Three, we need equitable access to prevention innovations like long-acting PrEP. And four, we need to support community leadership to be able to participate fully and meaningfully in all areas of the response, from the design of programs to implementing them and, importantly, evaluating them. And then the last two things I'd say is that we have to close the treatment gap, Siobhan. So we have around 340,000 people who are living with HIV in the Caribbean, but only 75% of them are on treatment, despite the fact that 300,000 of them, or 87% of them, already know their status. So there's a lot of work that we have to do to get that 90,000 people who are not yet on treatment, and when we get them on treatment, we have to keep them on treatment, because the data shows, we have seen from the evidence, that once people are on treatment, staying on treatment and taking the medications as prescribed by their medical doctor, then they will get to viral suppression, and the impact is significant for themselves and all of society. And then the last thing I think is that we really have to tackle stigma and discrimination in all areas, all its manifestations. Stigma and discrimination happening in health facilities, in communities, in churches, anywhere, in workplaces. This has to be tackled so that we can really get to the targets that we have committed to, and our governments right across the region committed to just last June at the UN General Assembly on where they met and made commitments. 149 world leaders made this commitment around the political declaration that we are going to redouble our efforts to get to these targets by 2030.
And I suppose the fight continues. That's Javian Nelson, Community Support Advisor for UNAIDS. Thank you for joining us, Javian, and all the best.
No problem. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
That's where we have to leave Nationwide at 5, listeners. Please stay tuned for the comments section. Happy birthday to Mahiri Stewart and Shalois Michael there as well. So, thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew Glenn, the big man, the Bugs Anderson, as well as the best news and production department led by the very capable Cara Powell. And thanks to all our YouTubers. We're really out of time, and my producer is pressing me to get out of here. I would call you all individually if I could, but I just have to give you all a general shout out this evening. I've been your host, Siobhan Campbell. Have a good evening.
This station